Hi everyone, it's Chelle from Chelle Crochet. How are you today? I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you've been enjoying your crochet for the month of July as I did. I thought I'd set up these clips and pictures that I took throughout the month for you so you know a little bit of what to expect. This goes way back to the beginning of July when we were away for a little bit of a Canada Day getaway, and we went outside. This is actually on Canada Day. You can see we're all decked out in our red, and got hubby to set up a little shop for me. He's there in the window if you see him. I'm working on a shallow shawl, and I had found a skein of, or a hank actually, of Expression Fiber Arts. I think it's a merino silk blend, and because of the wool content in the yarn, I am not gravitating to using it as much as I am some things, but it is a great small compact grab and go type project. You can also see that I'm wearing a headband that I made last year. That is one of the first headbands I made where I actually used the elastic at the back, and that is made with some Dollarama cotton, size 1 yarn I believe, and I striped that myself in the 2-stitch I think, rather than the granny stitch, just 2 double crochets and then working in between the stitches. So I made use of that again this year on Canada Day. Throughout the month of July, I just did what I felt like doing. You're going to see a bunch of useful projects for me for around the house, and you're going to see some work I was able to get done on my modular crochet projects for charity, and just bits and bobs and playing with yarn and having fun, and it was great. And today is July the 30th, so hopefully you will see this video by tomorrow, and yeah, we will do another one like this at the end of August, and then try and get back to our regular schedule at the end of September. Here's one last picture of us hanging out on Canada Day. I hope you guys had a great month of July, and let's move on to see some of the rest of the clips.
Hey everyone, it's time for a little car crochet. I don't know how long I'm gonna last, and I may have to just do the voiceover over it because there's a lot of people around. We are on a little July vacay, and I have my car crochet bag out, so I thought I would show you what I have in here. So I just have a random ball of cotton yarn, variegated yarn. This is the last little bit of whatever this was. It's got gray and teal and cream and like a beigey brown color, tan color. I have a little bit of this skein left of a Bernat Handicrafters, what is this one called? Stripey. And you're sitting on just a very plain tan colored Michael's cotton, I believe. And then I have one skein of the granny square yarn in this colorway. And so far, since I started working on this probably in May, I have 3 done. One of them I just took out the cream colored row and then refinished it on the way up in the car, and then I made one on the way up in the car. So I guess I'd only made one other one. I'm gonna do a little bit now. Like, it's really busy here right now, so I might just video for a little bit longer before my phone gets too hot of me crocheting, and then talk over that part because it's too much going on in the parking lot at the moment. Let me get my hook. I just had my hook. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, it's quiet at the moment. I've been noticing, I don't know if it's this particular colorway, it seems stretchier to me, and I haven't had a chance to try doing one with my clover hooks to see if it's got anything to do with that, because this is the first time I'm making the granny squares with these crochet light hooks. But as a rule, I don't really notice anything about crocheting with these. Whereas like with my metal hooks and stuff, I just basically don't use them. I have given them all away to Value Village for other people to find them and be able to make use of them over the years, except for one set. So I've kept a couple of really nostalgic metal hooks from way back when I was first learning to crochet as a teenager, and then I have a full set of all sizes in metal just in case I ever need them for some reason. And then I just have my clovers and this light up set, and so my clovers are really the ones I go to all the time, as you know. So anyway, we will see how this goes. I think it was only a few days ago that I made the last one, so hopefully I remember to adjust my tension as needed on the different colors, as you always need to with this yarn. when I started out using this yarn, I was using a 7, and I realized I needed to be like super hyped up for that, because if I was trying to crochet really quickly and, you know, have my tension the way it sort of normally would be, I guess I would need this 7. But I guess two things have happened. I'm crocheting a little more slowly these days, but my hands are sore, so I don't pull on the yarn as much as I used to. So you guys just went for a little tumble. Anyway, as I was gonna say, so here's how I do my first double crochet. I go single crochet, and then I go into the side loop, and I do 1 chain, and then I finish the single crochet. I just like how that looks a little bit better than just single crochet on top of single crochet. And then I know for this blue I'm going to need to keep my stitches fairly tight to make sure I have the right amount of yarn to get, I've got a strand somewhere there, just a thread, there we go, to get me to the other side on round 2. And I think the last 3 rounds after this are just regular tension. And then of course, I shouldn't say 3, because on the very last round I like to do it tight on purpose, just because that way I know I can have extra cream yarn if I'm sewing the squares together or anything like that, that I might be able to use it up. I don't know for sure if I'm going to end up putting another color on these ones or not. I don't have an actual plan for these, but I do have 3 skeins in this color, and I also have a couple of complementary colors that I could choose to use from Michael's. So I'm thinking sweater. I just don't really know who the sweater will be for yet, so we'll see if that's what I decide to do. Okay, so this is going to be my last granny cluster, and this is how I like to do it. I have an idea in my mind of how much I need to do the granny cluster, and we're basically bang on there. I might have a smidge more than I need, so I'll keep this nice and loose. Knowing that I'm gonna have to still join anyway. Oh, look, perfect. So that is pretty bang on. And if I have too much, I just do a little extra slip stitch there, nice and loose, and I can chain 1. That blue yarn will sit there, and then we're into the green. So it keeps for fairly clean edges. Okay guys, I better go because my phone's gonna get too hot. I'll talk to you in the next clip. Bye everybody.
So I only took a very limited amount of yarn with us on vacation, and one of the balls I brought was a Karen Jumbo Ombre, and I'll put the color name on the screen. And I decided to start off with a V-stitch infinity scarf. And throughout the month of July, pretty early on in July, I was able to use the rest of that entire skein. The jumbos are not quite 1 pound, but they're close. And I just love how those colors are put together with those, I don't know, denim-y teals to blues. And then part of it has some Aran cream color in it. So you're going to see all the projects there. There's the infinity scarf when it was finished. Beautiful. Can I see what hook I'm using there? I'm going to guess I was using a 7mm hook with that yarn because that's pretty thick for acrylic. And we have pictures here coming up of the other projects I was able to finish using the skein. This was actually the only yarn I used to make one headband in the month of July. Headband ear warmer for Shoebox Charity. And you can see I used the lighter colors for that one there. And this one I just did single crochets and half double crochets alternating, it looks like. And there's the back of it. And coming up, you're going to see that I also made a cowl once we got home. And all of that came out of 1 skein of that yarn. And I just put a variety of different stitches in the cowl. And you can see all the colorway that way from that skein of yarn. And that was fun. I liked using it in the month of July. Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, July the 7th. Somebody is outside enjoying some nice weather on a vacation day for him. And the coffee just started. I'm coming on here to show you probably the top 3 most unique crochet things I've ever done, ever. So this is one of our little storage bags, and we like to travel with this one because it fits pillows really well, and we like to travel with pillows and a couple extra blankets when we go on some overnighters or whatever. And it had one of those like see-through compartments. I did use these to store some finished objects at one point. So this is all flat because there's nothing in it right now, but it is zipped shut. And it's this material, you know, like this type of like canvasy quilted type material with a zipper. And it had this see-through window, which I originally liked. And the see-through window was plastic. Well, I'm known to stuff these pretty full, and I broke it. Or he probably broke it when he was zipping it up, but hey, he was zipping it up, so that's okay. So I took some of that yarn we were talking about last time, and it's super stretchy, and I held it double, and I just made this back and forth double crochet rectangular panel, and I sewed it on. And the sewing took a while, but I'm so happy with it because it's super stretchy. So now when we stuff our pillows and stuff in there, that can expand to its heart content. Let me see if I can open it up for you. Just give me a sec. So we'll get a nice close look at the stitches. So this is held double, 2 of them held double for that little extra marling with the self-stripiness, but it's so stretchy. Let's see, can you see how stretchy it is? So stretchy. So anyway, I'm happy with it. It was a great use for this yarn. And now this bag is totally going to be able to travel with us from now on. And not only that, we have a few of them. So now I won't be wondering if I have the right one or not. I'll stick this one with the suitcases and we'll grab it when we need it. And I also had made this Christmas in July project. It is just a rectangular back and forth, started with 2 rows of single, ended with 2 rows of single, did half doubles in between, and did a red border on. So I used up the last bit of my Christmas yarn that I got at Spin Right on the very first tent sale I ever went to, a big ball tent sale in May, probably 2017. And unfortunately Spin Right is closing. Oh dear. Anyway, happy to have that used up. It was all scraps. It had like a bunch of ends in it, so clearly it had been used before. And then I put some of that Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie around the trim, a little scrap I had left. And that is going to be for my cart at Christmas time because I like having a little insert in the front of my cart where I keep my water glass and my coffee cup in case I spill on it, which I do. So I am about to launder the one I currently have and make a couple more scrappy ones so that I have more than one option when I want them. I'm going to use up a whole bunch of scraps. The next one's going to have like literally 1 or 2 yards of cotton at a time, getting through all the tiny scraps to get them out of that bucket. Hello everyone. Today is Tuesday, July the 15th. We're halfway through the month. And Jada in Stitches, I always just say Jada because she's just Jada to me, but everybody may not know who she is. I would be highly surprised if that was true, but you never know. And you never know when someone might see this years from now. So Jada put out a scarf pattern yesterday, meant to be done in 1 hour. And I gave it a shot this morning. With interruptions and stuff, mine has already taken me about 2 hours to get to the same point hers did. I chose to go in the back bump, so that does take longer for your first row. And mine is about, I think 3 longer. I think hers was 45 and mine's 48. So it's a slight bit longer. Her measurement at her finish point was 4 inches. Mine is only 3 inches, which is not surprising. She was using a 6mm hook and I'm using a 7. And she did hers in beautiful fall colors, which I am going to do. I'm going to dig into my sort of stash scrap pile that I have from my scrap can, because there's a lot of big lengthy scraps in there. And I will find some fall colors to make another one. These would just go in my charity box. So I only have 2 scarves in my charity pile right now. So this will be number 3 and then the fall one will be number 4. I really do enjoy it. I'm curious as to why the shallowness difference when I have what I mean by shallow is hers is measuring 4, mine's only measuring 3 this way. And I know it'll loosen up a little bit, but I don't really want it to open up too much more. I know the idea is this is like a lighter weight scarf for fall, but anyway, different purposes, still a beautiful stitch. Mine is going to be cozy for charity, and Jada just wanted a bit of more of a statement piece. But I've had these yarns for a while and I thought that they would just be really great together because that marled gray has just been sitting around on its own, and I didn't really know what to do with it. And it won't play too marled in this pattern, and it still has gray in it, which the variegated has in it as well. I'll put the name of the variegated yarn on the screen for you because it's escaping my mind right now. But this one is also more than this one, so we'll see. It'd be ideal if I could maybe get a couple other projects out of this, so we'll see. I have a second one of that, so I had always planned for it to be hats, cowls, and things for charity. Just a little update today, and I'm going to get back to finishing this and then move on to the rest of my day. Hey everyone, just a quick update. I finished my scarf. So I did several more rows than Jada did. So hers started on the in-between, or the V-stitch row. So she went 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and ended it also on the V-stitch row. Sorry, you can't see it here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I just continued that shell stitch around the outside on the bottom. So this is actually where I started, and this is the first V, and then I went back into that V on the bottom. So it looks a smidge different, but I'm counting that as my border. And to come around the corner, I just did 2 double crochets, chain 2 double crochets, and in between the 2 double crochets on each corner going the flat side here are 16 stitches, and it worked out great for me. And yeah, I'm really loving that combo. There's a better up close view, but I'm very happy with her. It's longer too. It's about 80 inches long, and I didn't measure it again, but it's probably getting pretty close to 6 inches wide. Shall we? 1 second. Without any blocking, natural relaxing in the dryer or anything like that, it's 5.5 inches wide. So that is another charity finish for Shoebox Charities, a scarf. And we'll move on to the next clip. Good morning, everyone. So I keep forgetting to do a little bit of update on my C2C blocks. That was previously done. I'm not loving this pattern, but it's too hard to take it apart. So either it's going to be a standalone and I'm going to have to make it into some other project, or I may mimic it. Here's the smaller balls I have. So none of these will be enough to do a block half and half, and I'm going to show you more blocks in a second. My, oh, there's still a peachy one back here too. Burn Up Pop Cakes. And when I originally wound these up, I wrote how many grams they are on it because I have a measurement that I need. I have a weight that I need for a half and half C2C block. So here's one of my half and half blocks. And when I'm doing them half and half, I need to have at least 30 grams of yarn in order to make that happen. And it's half and half-ish because when you get to the size you want, which for me is 16 blocks, you're going to get that on one color. So these are completely square, they're not rectangular, which actually means that this one is 1 row shorter than this one because this 16th row represents itself once only, because then you start going back down again. Anyway, that is one of them. Let me put all the grays on the same side. I just happen to have a bunch of grays going here. Here's another one. And when I was first working on these, I didn't go back and check. I have a suspicion I used a 6.5 millimeter hook, but it's not going to matter enough to matter. So I'm using a 7 now, and I'm going to stick with the 7. And here's another one. So I think these are my first 2. They were done in a 6.5. And so that's the 3 I have that are half and half. And then this is the other pattern that I would actually like to use. So I think this one is more, I don't know, I just like it better with only 3 stripes. You do use quite a bit of yarn in the middle here because that's row 15, 16, and 15 again in terms of the number of blocks. So I am going to do some more like that. And I think this is around 24 grams of yarn. So I'll be able to play around with those balls because they all have the number of grams written on them and go from there. I barely started another one that's going to be a half and half with the green, and then I have a gray pulled out. So I have 4 that have a color and then gray. I have a little baggie of 1 round grannies with real scraps, and I've made 1 granny so far because the other thing I was going to use the balls for was grannies. And I kept the hair clip on here after, because it tells me how many grams this was. So I'll know for the rest of my grannies what size it needs to be able to get to this size. And for the grannies, I don't care. Some might be solid, some might not be solid. So that one can be a more scrappy look as long as it finishes a row. I'm not going to have any interruptions halfway through the rows. But it's been going really well. I also have this tiny little bag in case I come across a color that I just need a smidge more of, and I happen to have some of. And this is all without breaking into the actual last cakes I have. But this one is going to be a half and half, these two together. And then I have these ones that are big enough to do half and half squares. But I'm going to design the blanket first once I have the 4 squares done, and then I'll decide for sure. I also pulled out a yarn that I'm going to use to trim all the squares, which is another spoiler alert. We do not use the gray. I decided the gray was far too close to some of the other grays in the C2C squares already. And even the C2C squares have grays that are very similar from different Bernat Pop cakes. So I picked another one, and at the very end you will see the picture. Also, those granny squares you just saw, they got much bigger. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, July the 22nd. It is a beautiful day out. High of 24 degrees Celsius today. We had that on Friday, then we had a warm weekend, and we had a nice one yesterday and today, and then it's coming back to the heat. But as long as I can get a couple days break, I don't mind so much. So I finally did some work on these. I think I have another clip from before now, so hopefully you've already seen that. But yesterday I just made a second one of these striped versions. So I didn't love that I had done this. I had done this first one here early on. Now that I have the idea of just doing 3 stripes without those little stripes in between. Originally I did the little stripes to use up some yarn, but I was able to find some similar colors in a different pattern where I had an appropriate like small ball like that to use as a stripe. And I got another one of those done. So I think I'm up to 4 half and half squares, 1 3-stripe square, and 2 of these. What are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 5-stripe squares. And then yesterday, I've only made 1 granny square so far. It's a solid one, and I think you've already seen it. I've been making tiny little inserts for grannies, or first round grannies, you could say. Like that. Those are the newest ones I've made. And yesterday I spent some time turning the first go at them into 2 round grannies. And I was playing with the yarn to see which yarns I had enough to do a second round on. So I have that going as well. Now all of those grannies are eventually going to be 7 round grannies, and they're going to go with some solid grannies. So that's going to be a very scrappy granny blanket after. So hopefully we're a little bit back on track for ending up with enough modular pieces to be putting 2 blankets for Project Linus together in the month of September. Let's go on to the next clip.
Hey everyone, it's Yarn Room Crochet. It's like car crochet, but it's more yarn roomy. I had an idea today, and I just thought I'd start off by talking to you about it. I'm going to take this yarn here and this yarn here, and I'm not going to make granny squares. Just showing you the label. Where's the actual square? Let's find it. There it is. Okay. So I've made a lot of granny squares using this yarn. As you know, you can see the pillow right behind us. So I'm going to count and see how many double crochets it is per color. And my idea is to start with this blue that I find pretty complimentary here. We have natural light, and I have the light on above me. So hopefully you're getting a decent view of this. Anyway, I think these go pretty well together. This color is not exactly in this yarn, but it's similar. And I have other options too. I could go to a navy blue if I wanted another solid in here. But my idea is I'm going to start this out off with a chain and single crochets, or I might even do like a chainless foundation start. I'm going to do at least 1 or 2 rows of double crochets, and then I'm going to get into the granny square yarn. And my idea is to go all the way across, and I think I have a pretty good idea of how many stitches I'm going to get, somewhere between 60 and 80 double crochets total. And when I get to the end of the outside color, which on this is the creamy Aran color, I am going to turn and go back the other way, so that you literally have all the colors coming all the way across the blanket and then go all the way across the other side. And I think I'm going to do 2 stripes of the granny square yarn and then several stripes of this yarn in between. Also, because I'm going to start with this yarn, I don't have to cut my yarn, so I can do say 65 double crochets in the startup, and then if that's too many, I just pull them out. So it's going to be a bit of an experiment. This is just a way of using the granny square yarn that's not making granny squares, and I will start this project now. What is today? Today is Saturday, July the 26th, but honestly, when this project gets a little bit big, it's probably going to come and go until it gets cooler out. And I do have some modular blanket projects on the go, so I don't really need to be working on this when it's super hot. But this idea came to me before I even got out of bed this morning, and I decided I wanted to give it a try because I have enough of the granny square yarn that I don't need to make it all into granny squares. And I only have 2 of this particular one, which I can at least tell you the name of. This one is called Aran Soft Sky. So this will be a beautiful neutral looking stripy blanket when it's done. So I'll see if I can get any more clips before the end of the month, but I will be putting a vlog up for everybody for July, and I will be putting another vlog up for you in August, and then I will be back to my normal schedule at the end of September. Let's go on to the next clip. Hey everyone, several hours later. I think I have a plan. After mathing like nobody's business, I realized that if I save the final round of the square, which is about 60 crochets, 60 double crochets in this format, if I save it twice, I will have the same number of stitches as all the other rows combined. So I'll be able to use, in this colorway's case, the Aran as one of my stripes. So this blue color that's a loops and thread yarn is going to be one of my solids, and the Aran that comes out of the all-in-one granny square is going to be one of my solids. And then all the other colors will make 2 rows back across each other for a nice sort of a spread out of those color changes. Will also be 120 stitches ish. Now that's what it is in this. So what I'm doing on the side here is I'm keeping count of actually how many double crochets I'm getting. And so for example, for the beige that you get 12 double crochet I should say it this way, 4 double crochet clusters out of, it's actually giving me 16 stitches instead of 12. And for the second color, it's supposed to be 24. Last time I got 29, and I'm just redoing it now. I realized if I kept it going, I would have to have the blanket vertical, which I don't mind, because then it's just my choice how wide to make it. But I thought of using that Aran color as my other color stripe is a nice solid option for me in terms of another solid color. So and it would go really well in this blanket, because every once in a while in the granny square yarn there's like a little bit of flecks of color, or the color isn't quite the same as any other color. Like I'm staring at another ball of Aran I have over there, and they're nowhere near the same color. So anyway, I'm gonna try it that way. I just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. And I now know that my blue is definitely as long as I need it to be, and just for this purpose of all this math I'm doing and all this counting. But yeah, it's gonna be fun to have all this information on what I can do with straight rows of this in the future. So that's my update for today. You'll see some more pictures. Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, July the 27th. This may be the last clip I have for July. And yesterday we started this blanket that may or may not just end up being a scarf. Whee! Coffee's on, coffee's finishing, yay. So I just want to show you kind of the repeat here. So the middle section is this Loops and Threads Endless Impeccable, a sand colorway, ages and ages ago from Spin Right. And the middle line in between is the Aran from the All-in-One Granny Square.
This would represent 4 granny squares without repeating the last round on the last 2, because I just thought that that looked better. And after doing it the way I did it, 2 things. The denim goes perfectly with this yarn, but when you're working it straight like this, you can barely tell the difference. Here it is right here. This is my denim. This is the denim from the All-in-One Granny Square. And also it is doubling back on itself more than I'd like. So my original idea was to have one straight line of the entire repeat, so that would have included and ended with the Aran. And I now know how many stitches that would be approximately for me. So it'd be over 200 stitches, but I'm not going to go into the detail because tension would become an issue with how many stitches you're getting over each set that would be for the granny square. Anyway, it was a fun experiment. It got me really brainy motivated yesterday and mathy motivated to figure some things out. And one of the best things about crochet is that you don't have to do exactly what you planned with it, as long as you can come up with a different use. And I've been doing a bit of scarves in the month of July, and so I think I'm pretty happy for this to be another one. And I may start over with a different color other than that denim and still do some kind of a blanket project with the remainder of this skein and another skein I have of the All-in-One Granny Square. I guess we'll find out next month. Have a great day and happy crochet. Thanks for being here, friends. Bye for now. I think I almost forgot this one. So this was basically inspired by Jada's 1 hour scarf. That pattern that tutorial is linked in the description box of this video. And for this one, I just used granny stitch. So we'll go a little closer. Who sees the foundation row in there? Who can see it? She's right here. So basically I did a foundation row and then I worked this way for a bit and then I started to do a corner and I came around for 2 full rounds like that. And I did color control it a little bit so that the colors would spread down the scarf and not be so pooly. In terms of chunks of color, I mean, it looks great regardless because of all the different colors in the scarf. Just flipped it over for you. This one's probably a bit longer than the other one. There we go. So the yarn is the Loops and Threads Barcelona, I think long discontinued, which is puzzle yarn essentially, and under a different label. And so it's a bulky 5, and I was using a 8mm hook with that. So cute, right? So I'm on a bit of a scarf kick, and we will see what next month brings.